Should you be allowed to listen in as first responders work an emergency or respond to a crime? Well, free speech advocates argue yes, access to scanners lets us know if law enforcement is doing its job the right way.
But Denver police say they're not trying to hide anything. They just don't want to give criminals a heads up on their operations. It's why they are encrypting their radio scanners, and that's also why Denver 7's Megan Lopez is going 360.
Law 21, busy detail.
Pick up an analog or digital radio, tune the frequency, and you'll hear it.
Vehicles UTL.
Police, fire departments, and others using scanners to communicate.
Blocking in and out of traffic.
For years, these channels have been open for anyone to listen in. But more frequencies are now falling silent as agencies turn to encryption to protect their communications. Police departments say this is a matter of safety and protecting private information. Media and freedom of information advocates say this is a way of controlling journalists, while radio hobbyists say there are other options. For Aurora Police, it's a matter of public and officer safety.
We went to an encrypted radio system in 2016.
But with cell phone apps and websites like Broadcastify and RadioReference.com, anyone with access to the internet can now listen in.
The Planned Parenthood shooter actually was listening to the police real time.
At 8:30 Sherman.
And Aurora Police say they've had instances where criminals are using their scanners to try to get an edge on them.
There was a young man in a stolen car, and he had a phone app. And he was listening to our officers approach. We were blocks away from him. And he heard that we were on our way to him, and he just started taking off and driving crazily.
They're also trying to keep some information private.
Juveniles' names, addresses, HIPAA information.
Denver police are also moving toward encryption.
Ultimately, it's a balance between the community safety issues and transparency.
Right now, DPD does have some encrypted tactical channels for SWAT and other sensitive situations.
That's great for officer safety, but nothing in there addresses publicly broadcasting victim, witness, and suspect sensitive information.
So the department is in the process of updating its radio system and encrypting all channels.
Copy.
While big agencies like Denver and Aurora go silent, Steamboat Springs is not.
We have not even started the conversation about encryption.
Chief Corey Christensen says because his department is so small,
I don't think we've encountered some of the issues that the Front Range encounters.
beyond that, encryption is complicated since numerous agencies all share radio channels, so all of them would have to encrypt together.
Some of these agencies don't yet possess the newer models of radios that make encryption affordable.
He says it's simply not necessary right now. While police departments focus on safety,
these are public airwaves.
For the Colorado Press Association, there are serious freedom of information concerns.
It impedes the ability to do breaking journalism.
So we have 10 scanners on the desk.
Since newsrooms use police scanners to follow breaking news.
Colorado State Patrol, Boulder, South Metro, and West Metro. These are different districts in Denver, Douglas County, and Arapahoe County.
Jill Farshman says that if information starts getting funneled through a public information officer, police departments will pick and choose the stories that put them in the best light.
Our responsibility is not to be friends with public agencies or law enforcement agencies.
Some agencies like Denver and Longmont say they will allow news media to have access to their scanners if they sign an agreement over how they will use the information they hear. But
let's say we print a story that is perceived to be unflattering. Then does our encryption key get removed?
Even with encryption, there are ways for news media to get radio calls through open records requests.
You have to know about it to ask about it.
And there's no guarantee the information will be provided, no time limit for some of those records, and it costs money in some cases for newsrooms that are already cash-strapped.
That's not, to me, a solution to this issue.
Roberts says scanner encryption comes at the expense of the public's right to know.
It's going to be harder for journalists to get information to the public.
I think this is a real overreach by law enforcement.
But not only news media listens to scanners.
If I hear sirens, I like to be able to go over to my scanner, turn it on, and go, what's going on?
W0RDR is mobile for
Amateur radio enthusiasts like Robert Wareham
W0RDR and 0ESK
have scanners in their cars and homes. He's also a former law enforcement officer and doesn't believe encryption will keep police safer.
I don't buy it. They don't buy it, or they'd all be encrypted today.
Instead, he thinks there should just be a delay on the scanners to keep police tactics secure.
3 minutes is more than enough to take away the immediate benefit.
For Wareham, it's a matter of knowing what's happening in his community.
Are we going to live in an open and transparent government, or are we going to live in a police state?
More and more law enforcement agencies are choosing to encrypt. At the Colorado State Capitol, an effort to block encryption failed last year.
25 northbound.
This time around, there's a new bill to at least limit encryption. But until there's a law regulating it, it's up to law enforcement agencies to find the balance between safety and transparency.
Copy 1144.
Megan Lopez, Denver 7.